when we had Roger Stone on our show? We had Roger Stone on for a lot of different reasons, and it was a very interesting interview. But Roger Stone has said some bad things about people, particularly people of color. I asked Roger Stone why he called former CNN contributor Roland Martin a fat Negro, which is utterly disgusting. Have a listen to this. What about Roland Martin? Can we address that? Because, again...
I apologize to Roland Martin. He unfortunately did not have the grace at the time to accept a sincere apology.
Listen. Well, I'll tell you something. I wouldn't accept that apology either because it's racist and it's horrendous, and how he could even say that is unbelievable. Well, guess what? The guy joining us on the line right now to talk a little bit about that and the racial issues that are facing this nation, he is a former CNN contributor, and he's the host of hashtag Roland Martin Unfiltered. You could watch it every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's streaming in the heart of Washington, D.C. at Black Lives Matter Plaza. You can see it on Facebook Live, YouTube, IGTV, Periscope, and his podcast is available on iHeartRadio. We're very happy to have him, Roland Martin, joining us right now on the line. Roland, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Glad to be here. Roger Stone lied to you. Roger Stone never apologized to me. Roger Stone gave an interview with a reporter in Washington where he apologized for the comments. Roger Stone never apologized to me. That's a lie.
And you know what? I believe you, Roland, because this isn't the first time that Roger Stone has made a racist, misogynistic comment in his life. He's used the white power sign before. I asked him about that. What goes through your mind when you hear a political operative like Roger Stone, and people still defend him to this day, when he uses the term Negro? And he by the way, he's used it recently as well. What do you make of a guy that still uses that term, Roland?
Well, first of all, he's using it for a very good reason. And the reality is anybody who associates themselves with him, they have to accept that as well. Look, here's the fundamental problem that the Republican Party has today. Let me be perfectly clear. There are a number of black Republicans who I have known for years, for decades. They're people who I'm very dear friends with. This party is the home of far too many racists. Mm-hmm. They provide a comfortable landing place for individuals. When you typically look at Harris, look at Texas. There were 4 to 5 different county GOP leaders who even Governor Greg Abbott and Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, asked them to resign because of either racist posts or racist comments.
Right.
And they didn't.
Yeah.
And that's what you're dealing with there. And look, I mean, I would say to any of these Republicans, you look at this with Trump that's on the campaign trail. Suburban women, why don't you love me? He's not talking to black suburban women or Latina suburban women. He's talking to white suburban women. And people call it a dog whistle. No, this isn't a dog whistle. This is somebody who is using a megaphone to say, hey, I kept low-income housing out. We know what that means. And so they accept it. And guess what? They use it. Mm-hmm. It is a successful electoral strategy for Republicans.
What would you say to somebody, because you're mentioning politicians that are African-American, somebody like Tim Scott? When Donald Trump goes out there and he says something that is racist, misogynistic, you name it, and then Tim Scott, in a way, doesn't really speak out and sometimes even defends it. What would you say to somebody like Tim Scott?
That's his black shield. Mm-hmm. See, here's the deal. If I was friends with somebody who's Jewish, and the only time I ever bring them up is when I'm talking about something that speaks to Jews, that person might say, damn, can I get some love just on GP? Right. You only speak about me in those terms. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump only invokes Tim Scott when he brings up opportunity zones.
Right.
And also the police reform bill.
He doesn't bring up Tim Scott when he's talking about Supreme Court justices, or he's talking about the issues. And then this is what I wish of Senator Tim Scott. And I've had Senator Tim Scott on my show on many occasions.
Right.
I wish Senator Tim Scott would get a backbone. I wish but let me tell you something. Ed Brooke was the first black United States senator since Reconstruction out of Massachusetts. Ed Brooke took on his own party. Ed Brooke was not afraid. There only been a couple of times when there was some federal judicial nominees who were so racist, and even Tim Scott was like, okay, this is a bridge too far. But there have been others, he doesn't say anything. And it's like, hey, you know what? I'm a South Carolina, I got to protect it. But here's the crazy part. His party would expect him to say something.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right.
Tim, you're not going to lose votes.
You're right.
Show some courage.
Roland, let me just be clear. I couldn't agree with you more. Now, my co-host is a Trump supporter. I am not. I want to get to a few more issues with you, and then I'm going to let JD take over from there. And JD, you'll have plenty of time to ask him as many questions as you want. Let me just get to a couple more issues with Roland, if I may. Roland, I want to talk about Donald Trump, then I'll get to the BLM movement. Let's start with Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, over not just the last 3.5 years, Roland, as you know, he has a history of saying racist things. For example, I don't want black people counting my money. I want Jews counting my money. With the housing issues he's had over the years, the 5 people in New York City that were he wanted them to get the electric chair. He wanted them to get the death penalty. DNA proved that they were innocent. He has a history, Roland, of making racist comments, and he continues to do so. Roland, it was just a month ago, I don't know if you remember this, where he put up a video of a black man pushing a white woman into a subway. It had nothing to do with the BLM movement, and it happened 2 years ago. And I say to people, why would he do that? So, Roland, what would you say to the people out there, not me, because I do believe Trump is a racist, that support Trump and they say he's not a racist? What would you say to them?
Because what they do is they excuse it for their tax cuts. They excuse it for their far right-wing judges. They excuse it in every example. I mean, look at Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus releases this statement in endorsing Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And then this is what he said. He has delivered on his promises. He's worked for the average person. Yeah. In my opinion, he has been more diverse than any president I have seen and has tried to help people from all walks of life equally. What the hell is Jack Nicklaus talking about?
Absurd. It's absurd.
What the hell is he talking about? And so, and let me be clear. And this, I need people always go, yeah, but how can you say that somebody's a racist, but they have black friends? Well, hell, that was slave owners who liked their slaves. They still own them.
You're right.
So, I mean, and there were people during Jim Crow who had black women who raised their children, who birthed them,
that's right.
Who raised them their entire lives, but they still were racist during Jim Crow. Donald Trump knows what buttons he's pushing. And when people just say, well, can we just sit the racism aside? No, we can't.
Agree.
Because it informs your policy.
Couldn't agree with you more. And for people that make the excuse, well, I have black friends, or I just think it's absurd. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Roland Martin, former CNN contributor, host of #Roland Martin Unfiltered. Okay, let's talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, Roland. So here's my opinion, and you can tell me if you agree or not. Are there some extremists in that group? Sure. Are there a small minority of people that are lighting things on fire and assaulting police? Yes, and it's wrong, and we need to call that out. But with that being said, people want to paint, on the right particularly, the entire Black Lives Matter movement as a Marxist movement. And here's what I say. When we see a couple bad cops out there, we don't label all cops as bad. But why is it that these same people want to take a small minority of the millions of people that are protesting across the country and call all these people Marxists and criminals? Why is that, Roland? And you tell me if you agree or not.
Look, here's the deal. I know this. I know the movement very intimately. First of all, the people who are commenting have no understanding even what the hell Black Lives Matter movement is. What they don't realize, when Donald Trump keeps saying, well, they said pigs in a blanket. You know what that was? That were a few folks in Minneapolis.
Right, 15 or 20 people.
Black Lives Matter. But check this out, a chapter. But that chapter wasn't even affiliated with the national organization.
Yep.
The Black Lives Matter movement, first of all, Black Lives Matter is a phrase. It spoke to all of these myriad issues. Look, there are people, there are black pastors who are very conservative who support Black Lives Matter. Does it mean that, this 10-point plan that the Black Lives Matter founders came up with, I agree with that? Hell no. No, absolutely not. And people they have no clue about any of that. And I even had Patrice Cullors, one of the founders, on, and it was actually kind of confusing when you talk about the Black Lives Matter Global Network, the Black Lives Matter, because it's an all-encompassing phrase. And so you could just sort of lump anybody under it. And so people were protesting just in the name Black Lives Matter who weren't even associated with it. So it is a concept. It is really a phrase that speaks to just a variety of issues that are political, that are social, that are economic, that are health, that's education.
Sure.
It's all of that. It's just speaking to the existence of black lives.
Agree. Now, Roland, you and I are going to agree on a lot of things. We both can't stand Donald Trump. We both are for the Black Lives Matter movement. My co-host is a Donald Trump supporter. Me and him, we get into it every day. So, JD, I want to give you an opportunity now to talk to Roland about some of these issues, and hopefully you guys could have a good discussion. Go ahead, JD.
Roland, what are your thoughts on the Platinum Plan?
You mean the aluminum foil plan?
Yeah, no, the Platinum Plan. The one
Right, it's the aluminum
that
foil
makes
plan.
a conscious effort to create 500,000 black-owned businesses, 3 million black jobs, put $500 billion into banks and inner cities. What do you think about that? The one that Ice Cube helped the Trump administration put together?
But actually, what you just said is incorrect. There's nothing in that plan that says they're going to put $500 billion into black banks, so that's false. Second of all, it's only a one-page plan, and it's a series of ideas. Thirdly, I'll give you an example. In the so-called Platinum Plan, he says, first of all, it's an offensive name. Really, the Platinum Plan? What the hell? We're going to break out bottle service and gold grills? Okay, give me a break. So he says, in his so-called Platinum Plan, we're going to make Juneteenth a national holiday. That could have happened in July. But Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin stood up and blocked unanimous consent in the Senate. Did Donald Trump tweet a word about it? No. Did Donald Trump say a word about it? No. So now all of a sudden, 2 months later, you now supposedly support Juneteenth? Also, he said we're gonna actually make the anti-lynching law federal. I'm sorry. Senator Rand Paul, Kentucky, stood up and blocked unanimous consent of that bill, sponsored by Senator Tim Scott, Senator Kamala Harris, Senator Cory Booker. Donald Trump did not say a word, sent no tweet, made no public statement. But now all of a sudden, you actually care about that. In the so-called Platinum Plan, he talks about housing. It was just one line about housing. Can you give me some details? You've been there 4 years. What plans have you had? The black home ownership rate dropped to its lowest level since 1968 in 2018, 40.9%. I have specifically asked, have not received any plan from Trump's Department of HUD development, specifically when it comes to black home ownership. So now all of a sudden, I'm supposed to believe that you're going to talk about black home ownership in a second term when you didn't in your first term. Thirdly, when the figure you talked about was on page 1. That is, we're going to invest upwards of $500 billion in black communities. Show me the specifics. As you go to page 2, when he speaks about the $400 billion, that's actually the total federal contracting program for infrastructure. He is taking the total federal contracting program for infrastructure and putting it right there in the plan. It's nonsensical. I went through that plan line by line. And let me also tell you this. I talked to people who actually worked on the plan who said it was BS and they purposely pulled away. I had Ice Cube on my show and asked him, Ice Cube, please show me what is in your contract with Black America that the Trump people tapped into putting their Platinum Plan. He actually couldn't. He said, well, they have it here about $40 billion going to various black banks. I said, really? Show me specifics on that. The plan is a joke. The plan was devised to do exactly by you asking a question. Hey, he has a plan for Black America. No, he doesn't. Opportunity zones. Okay, I had one of the pastors from Baltimore who spoke at the news conference when they launched it, and he said, man, this is promising. I said, I'm going to have you back in 6 months to see what actually happened. Guess what happened? Came back in 6 months, and he was pissed off because you know what he realized? All those promises, Trump is running around saying $100 billion has been invested. No, it hasn't, because even his own administration can't even tell you what money went into those 8,000 census tracts. It's bogus.
Okay,
and
so when it says increase access
by line.
When it says increase access by access to capital by $500 billion in black communities, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that that's going to banks?
What the hell?
Access.
You tell me, what does it mean?
Access to that's what it says. It says access to capital.
Okay, but show me. Show me how. Show me. Okay, what agency? And here's the deal. If you want to see a comparison between a specific plan and a general plan that's one line, all you have to do is go compare Joe Biden's Lift Every Voice to Trump's Platinum Plan. Trump's Platinum Plan, 2 pages, which is really the cover sheet in 1 page. Biden's plan, 22 pages. Biden names the agencies, names the department, names how it's going to be done, names and outlines how it's going to be used. 22 pages. Trump's plan literally is a 1-pager. I went through it line by line. I called other black conservatives, other black Republicans who actually worked with this White House. And they said to me point blank, man, that plan is trash. And here, let me ask you this here. Show me, has K. Cole James, has J.C. Watt, has Elroy Saylor, has Angela Saylor, has Bob Brown. And you know what? Here's the deal. To help you out. I'll help you, all you Trump-loving people. Bob Brown was the brother who worked for Richard Nixon, who actually led his black agenda, he was an advisor to Dr. King, and he accompanied Coretta Scott King to get Dr. King's body at the airport. Bob Brown was actually the most successful black White House aide ever. Guess who never got a phone call on this platinum plan? Bob Brown. Guess who pushed through the Minority Business Development Agency, which actually expanded access to capital of black-owned businesses? Bob Brown. Wow. If you don't believe me, go read his book. He lays it all out. I did a 1-hour interview with him. He's a dear friend. Bob Brown never got a phone call. So if you're going to put a plan together for black people, go talk to the black guy who did it for Richard Nixon and was success. Never got a phone call. That tells me right there your plan's not real.
Okay, so you think the plan is fake, despite the fact that he did increase funding to opportunity zones. He did give funding to historically black community universities or historically black colleges and universities. He did institute prison reform.
I got to stop you because see what you just said is also factually incorrect. You said he increased funding to opportunity zones. Where's the proof?
Where's the proof, JD? I don't have the proof. Do you have the proof? I don't have the proof. I'm not making a claim like that.
JD. Roland has paperwork. I received a PDF from the White House outlining all
so you're
of the
saying
opportunity zones.
There wasn't $1.25 billion put into opportunity zones during his tenure. That hasn't taken place.
Where? Yes,
I'm asking that. That's the claim. You're saying that's not real. That's just one big lie.
No. I'm asking you, where's the proof? Just because they say something, where's the proof? I have asked them for the proof. I have an email right here that I sent to Mercedes Schlapp, sent to Hogan Gitley, sent to them saying, please provide me the backup, which said about opportunity zones. Guess what?
And they didn't give it to you.
Unanswered.
Oh, you know what? That speaks volumes then, Roland. By the way, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Roland Martin. He's a former CNN contributor. He's the host of hashtag Roland Martin Unfiltered. Roland, I want to talk about Donald Trump, and I want to give you my opinions.
Hold tight one second. Hold tight 1 second.
Sure, go ahead.
I got to answer this on HBCUs. What you also said is a lie. Guess who has debunked that? An actual HBCU president. Dr. Walter Kimbrough, he's the president of Dillard University. Right. He has been the president of 3 different HBCUs. Trump did not do that. The program that Donald Trump is taking credit for, he had nothing to do with that. That was Congresswoman Alma Adams, an HBCU graduate, and it had to do with STEM funding. When he says, they came to me, we're going to keep coming back for funding. No, that was a pilot program that was created by George W. Bush that expired in 2 years. The program was continued under President Barack Obama. And then what they did was they extended it for another period. Then Alma Adams came back and said, we should make this permanent. Donald Trump had nothing to do with that. You know who said it? Alma Adams. Guess who could also back her up? The Republican Mark Walters from North Carolina, who was the co-chair with her of the HBCU caucus in Congress. I had both of them on my show as well. Here's the deal. You're reciting talking points from the White House. I'm reciting facts because I talked to the very people who pushed the legislation through.
Okay, so you're saying that
Donald Trump says is fact.
That there were not leaders of HBCUs that went to President Trump, that sat in his office, like he told the American people, I believe, during the debate twice. That actually didn't take place, and he did not extend funding to HBCUs by 10 years. He did not do this so that they didn't have to keep coming back year after year.
That's not what I said. First of all, when he says,
well, that's what he said, and that's what I'm saying.
No. And what he's saying is, did he meet with HBCU leaders? The answer is yes.
Okay.
Did Congress also extend the appropriation? Yes. Did Donald Trump sign the bill? Yes. Was it even his idea? No. It was Congresswoman Alma Adams. And here's the deal. For all of your listeners, just simply Google Roland Martin and Alma Adams on YouTube channel. You can hear the interview.
Okay, so it took place.
Kimbrough, you can hear the. See, here's the deal. Trump. First of all, this is cut to the chase. Donald Trump lies massive amount of lies. He makes stuff up. Okay, he just makes stuff up. what I do as an African American who has to show the target African Americans, when somebody says, I've done this, I go back and check. And what I'm telling you is what he said is fundamentally false. Dr. Walter Kimbrough, an actual HBCU president, by the way, was in one of those photos.
Let me ask you this. So you're saying that this did take place under the Trump administration, but since it wasn't his idea, he can't take credit for it. My question is this. If he is a racist, why did he not try to stop it?
What do you mean? Why not try to stop it?
If he's racist towards black people, why did he not make a conscious effort to stop it and to turn down that idea from Alma Adams?
Did you first of all realize that you do realize that when it comes to congressional bills, that was actually in a bill that was passed by the House that went to the Senate. It was the total program we're talking about is $85 million. You actually think Donald Trump is going to sit and hold up a multi-billion-dollar bill, $85 million? Now, you talk about this whole issue of, why is he racist? See, this is what you're doing. And I've seen it before. Look, it's real easy. Bob is here. When you look at the policies of Donald Trump, when he says, like he is somehow just the king of criminal justice reform, let me remind you that it was passed in a Democratic House first. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump actually initially wanted prison reform.
Yeah.
Who were the very people who fought against that? Jeff Sessions, Tom Cotton. Just so you also understand, I did sit down with Jared Kushner for a whole hour to went over that particular program.
Can I ask you about that?
Prison reform.
Right.
When it went to the Senate, Senator Chuck Grassley, Senator Dick Durbin, Senator Cory Booker, Senator Kamala Harris said, this is not strong enough. If you don't improve this bill, we will not pass it.
Roland, can I ask you?
Trump takes credit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Give credit. The Democrats actually made it happen.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Roland, because I can talk to you forever. We only got.
Go ahead.
It's okay. We only have a few more minutes left. Can I ask you about Jared Kushner real quickly? You only got about 3 minutes left here.
Sure.
I think Jared Kushner is a white privileged, spoiled brat who spent all his dad's money, has no business being in the White House. I'm pretty sure we agree on that. I want to ask you about this. His comments he made the other day. Well, black people have to help themselves. Donald Trump's trying to help them, but they have to want to help themselves. What's your response to that?
You go through 243 years of slavery. You go through 12 years of Reconstruction. You have the election in 1876 where it's split, and then Southern Dixiecrats say pull the federal troops out of the last three remaining Southern capitals. Republicans agreed to that. Relatively Lee Hayes becomes president. That ushered in Jim Crow with the Great Compromise of 1877. That led to 92 years of Jim Crow. The second Reconstruction began with the lynching of Emmett Till in 1955. That began, Montgomery bus boycott began December 1st, 1955. Black folks forced America to accept democracy with the Civil Rights Act of 64, the Voting Rights Act of 65, the Fair Housing Act of 68. Black people has forced America, as Dr. King said, be true to what you put on paper. Here's what I know. Black folks have caught much hell in this country, have been redlined, have had land stolen, have had all those different things, and we are still here succeeding. And so, first of all, there is no other group of people who have caught the hell, who've had actually laws that have been on the books, city, county, state, federal, that disenfranchise African Americans, frozen out of corporate America for decades.
Yeah.
And we are still here. That is called successful.
Roland, let me say this in closing. There's a lot of right-wing talk show hosts out there that spew hatred and nonsense and bigotry, and I'm sick of it. We need more voices like you on the air. There are too many right-wing conservative hosts out there that are syndicated, and I'm truly and utterly sick of it. Republicans don't want to hear you speak the truth. Conservatives don't want to hear you talk about the truth because it makes them look bad, Roland. And I appreciate what you do. I think you need to be back on MSNBC or CNN. You need to be back on TV. And listen, your podcast is fantastic. Your voice needs to be heard more. We only got about a minute left here. Can you talk to me quickly just a little bit about where people can find your podcast?
Of course, we live stream every day on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope. Just go to my YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and click the notifications when we go live. You go live. To your point there, that's the reason Fox News doesn't call me. Trust me, we've communicated directly with Suzanne Scott, the CEO, and the head of talent. In fact, the Fox News shows, you know what they do? They book multiple guests who I put on my show. And here's the deal. Let me be real clear, okay? I don't play the game, the Democratic, Republican game, conservative, liberal. I call out Democrats, I call out Republicans, because I operate on truth.
You're right.
If Democrats do something that I find is offensive to black folks, trust me, I'm going to check them. But
Sure.
You're absolutely right. The echo chamber doesn't want to hear that because they don't want to deal with the facts. So with your co-host, again, I will happily send you the link because everything that I said, I can back it up with facts. I don't take press releases as the truth.
Agree. And nobody should, Roland, and I think we have that in common because we try to talk to Republicans and Democrats on this show, and we want the truth. Roland, I appreciate you. It's a great conversation. I know you're a busy guy. We'd love to have you on again after the election if you'd be willing to do that.
Anytime.
Thank you, Roland. You're the
Thanks
best.
a lot, Roland. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Roland. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Y'all take care.
Thank you, Roland. That is Roland Martin, very smart guy. If you want to talk to a guy that knows race relations in this country, Roland is the guy to talk to. I can see, even though I disagree with the language that Stone used, I can see why Stone doesn't like Roland Martin, because he's a straight shooter and he's going to tell you things whether you like it or not. He is the host of #Roland Martin Unfiltered, a former CNN contributor. Boy, would I love to see Roland Martin get into a debate with somebody like a Larry Elder. That would be must-watch television.
Or Leo Taro.
I'm just saying, he is a great debater. I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. And by the way, I don't disagree with anything he said on this show.
I think, Donald Trump, these things took place that have helped black people nationwide under the Trump administration.
We'll talk about that. Well, plenty of time.
You can't say just because it wasn't Donald Trump's idea that therefore Donald Trump is a racist and he deserves no credit for what these things.
So
for those things taking
we'll
place.
have plenty of time to talk about that on the other side of the break, JD. I want to take your calls, your reaction to that Roland Martin interview. Do you think Donald Trump has done a good job with the black community? Has he helped black people? Number to